Women have come a long way in the workforce, but we still have a few issues to work out. We're here with best-selling author Ellie Rubin, and we're going to talk about women at work. But first, we went to the street to get your take on female bosses.
Have you had bosses of both genders, male and female bosses?
I've had both.
Yeah.
I prefer male bosses.
Male.
Male.
Gay male, though.
The female bosses are really bitchy towards other women. Yes, they are bitches.
Maybe I have like this whole thing against women and I hate them deep inside, but like I really prefer male boss. I think they're less competitive.
Wow, that's a strong opinion. What do you guys think? Do you agree?
I don't know. They're young too. Like I think once you have experience in the workforce, I think you can find men bosses who are bitchier than women.
Have you ever had a male boss that's been bitchy?
Yes.
You know what? I'll say this much. The bosses that have been the most chaotic, where everybody collectively hates them, have always, unfortunately, been women.
Huh.
Really?
Yep.
In your experience? Because
Yep.
I've had both.
I've had both.
You know, a boss is a boss, quite frankly. That's how I feel. No, I like all people, sure.
A
Give peace
disclaimer
a chance,
first, though.
you know.
Our boss, Nancy Franklin, is fantastic.
She's a chick and she's
course.
beautiful.
She
Yeah,
has
she's
got to be
hot.
the best female boss.
Best.
A boss, period.
By the way, number one thing never to do,
Suck up to your boss.
Yeah, way
We
to
should
go,
hate those
Andrea.
people.
I have to say that. Way to go, Andrea.
She knows I'm joking, but I hate
Nancy's
people who
not
do
so
that.
great, whatever, you know.
And if you're going to suck up, come up with something really like
Original.
Yeah.
Like, I
tell
love
them
your
they're
shoes.
hot.
She's
I
got
don't know
good
if she's
hair.
going to buy that from me. I don't
No?
think she wants to
Okay.
hear that from me.
All
No.
So is that common that women would find other women bosses?
It's a little
Difficult?
sad, but it is true that a lot, you know, I also hate glossing over it because everyone wants you to say, absolutely, it's on a personal basis. There are, I think there's still this issue of women who are threatened by other women. And it took them a long time to get to where they got to. It's taken all of us a long time to get absolutely nowhere, right?
Right.
So, you know, we're still trying.
Yeah.
We have, yeah.
And a lot of women get threatened, and they don't mean to be tougher, but I almost wonder if it's like you're tougher on your daughter than your son.
Okay, one of those.
In that way.
Oh, that's a deep issue.
Well, we talked to a man, and I want you guys to take a look at his opinion about female bosses.
Have you had male and female bosses? Have you had bosses of each gender before?
Yes,
And what do you prefer?
male.
Yeah? Everyone says male boss. God. Why male?
I think many women in a position of power feel that they have to overcompensate,
Oh, really? Overcompensate, huh?
and they lose some of what's appealing about their personality, the feminine side of their personality that makes them very
Ooh.
appealing and, frankly, very powerful if they know how to use it. The reality is, equality doesn't exist. You know, women can do certain things that we can't, and we can do certain things they can't.
Interesting.
What do you think? I know Ellie's face. I was like,
She's fanning
I'm
herself.
fanning it. I was like, whew. No, I kind of agree with some of the things he said, though.
I actually do,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I think this sort of notion that we're all equal is silly because we're
not,
different
yeah,
sexes.
yeah.
And I don't think there is anything wrong with using what you have as long as you're true to yourself, you're integral in what you do, and you're not hurting anyone else.
Right.
So if you're a charming person and you're female, great. If you're a charming person and you're male, great. I see nothing wrong with
What about
using that.
physical attributes? So some people maybe how they dress or things like that. Do you think
As
that's
lo-
okay?
I do. I think if you, as long as you are being yourself, you're
Okay.
not doing it because you heard that if you do wear a certain kind of dress, then that's going to get you somewhere.
But here's the thing. If you're young and starting out in the workforce and you're cute and you have a male boss, there's that automatic ability to maybe be a little flirty and charming and sweet with the male boss, and you lose that ability when you have a female boss because you have to react to her on a different level. Do we use our sexuality as women to get ahead in the workforce still?
I think you can use your femininity or your personality with a woman in a different way. So, for example, I know I like if someone remembers that I have 2 kids and
Right.
what my interests are, and I find I respect them more when they actually get down to that level because I find men are not as good at that.
Right.
So why shouldn't you say, by the way, I know it's your son's birthday. I remember you told me, how did the party go?
Yeah.
Just for a moment, you're not saying, here's a gift. You're not
Right,
sucking
right.
up to them or trying to like say, you know, I'm so great and accommodating, but you're treating them as a
Remembering.
woman
Right.
would treat another woman, like if you were friends with someone.
But he made a really good point about how a woman loses, in order to be that boss, she has to lose some of her female attributes. And I think being nurturing, being very thoughtful, being emotional, all of those things, not good in the workplace. Not.
Yeah,
they
I
work
don't
on
think
those
it's
things.
good for any bosses. I mean, I
No.
remember the first time that I was a boss, the first thing that someone taught me was, you can't be friends with the people who work for you.
But what about a sense of loyalty? What's wrong with being a nurturer if you're a female boss? I mean, as a mother, I inherently nurture people. That's
She
just
does,
my
all
thing.
the
So
time.
I think
And
as
it
a
drives
boss,
everyone crazy.
Crazy.
I like
Please.
it. I like it.
No, I agree. It's too much. I got a mom at home. I got a mom at home. I want you
I'm
to
just
work.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
She's not.
I'm not kidding.
Crying. This is scary.
There's certain attributes about people and their personality that they bring out at
Yeah,
work, and maybe
yeah.
if it's too powerful or too strong, that's overwhelming. But you are a nurturer, and
Right.
so you do it around people, maybe at the same level. What happens when it's different levels?
Yeah, I was going to say, you have to set your own parameters, and that's really what it's about. It's not saying if you're female, you have to suddenly get really hardcore. It's saying if you tend to be a nurturer, be very careful, because I've been in positions where you are more friendly, you just get along with
Yeah.
some employees better than others, and then you got to let them go for some reason, or the gig is up, or they're actually not great at their job, but they're so much fun to
Yeah.
be with. And if you've stepped over that line, you know, letting someone go is a lot harder than bringing them on.
Have you done that? Letting someone go?
Oh,
that you-
yeah.
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 But she didn't become the friend.
you didn't
so
become
it
their
was okay
friend.
for her.
Because I'm not so nice. I'm definitely
You're
not
not
as
the
nice
nurturer.
as you.
Well, but
Be harder for you.
But here's the thing: how did women bosses get such a bad reputation? Because let's face it, they're known as hardcore, bitchy women who are tough, and you can't get away with anything with them. I mean, that's the impression we got from maybe the people on the
Yeah.
street. So where did that come from?
Well, I think it started when they had to wear bow blouses. Do you remember in the 80s? When they
Wait a
were...
minute.
Did you know I'm not nurturing?
Yeah, it's okay. Really fine, Ollie.
That was
Thanks so
so
much.
classic. Ellie's like, yeah, when they wear those,
Yeah,
you're wearing one
it's
of those.
fine. I'm totally good with it. I'm nobody's boss.
No,
Maybe
so
we should take a little break
from there, because
Okay.
that's just super
When we come back,
it is more superficial stuff. Kind of. We're going to talk
gonna
about
be sitting
office
over there.
romance when we come back.
You wanna-
There's
you wanna
lots of
take a
stuff
look at
there.
this? A little-
To dip or not to dip in the office pool of romance. We're back with best-selling author Ellie Rubin talking about office romance. Do you do it or do you not do it?
Ellie's an expert in office romance. Tell why.
Yeah.
Go on,
Did you, Ellie?
Did you meet your husband at the office?
I did. He was my boss.
Oh, ha, ha, ha.
Did you like
Did you
that?
have a little? Did you ever have sex in your office?
No.
Oh,
No.
you kept it separate.
We kept it separate. We actually didn't start going out until after.
That's what they all say.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but
After-
that's a good way
What,
to
you
do
left
it.
the office?
Actually, until he went to open the truck. See, I'm getting all tongue-tied now.
That's all right. Work through it.
No,
Work through it.
put on a bow blouse. No, actually, the truth is there are rules, but they're meant to be broken. And I keep getting back to that word parameters. So I think you have to decide. So we were actually in the same office, living with other people.
Oh, heavens to
I
Betsy!
know, I know.
Scandal.
Ellie, you are
Yeah.
scandalous.
And then
But we just then we became
Then we
friends. We
decided.
were friends, and you know there was a lot of late nights of working. Absolutely
Right.
You know,
But you
above
got each
board,
other's vibe.
all above the boardroom table. And,
On it, perhaps.
and then it went on, and then eventually, when we were all finished with who we were with, we ended up getting together, but we kept it top secret.
Right.
And in
Did you
fact,
really? 'Cause
yes,
everybody says that, and it
no.
always
no.
leaks out.
When we announced we were engaged, the two partners at the company thought we were joking.
Really?
Shocked. Well, see, that was my mistake. I didn't keep any of my office romances top secret, so I guess that's a rule, right? Because when we broke up, I was dating a guy at the office.
Were you guys going out?
Andrew and I, when we broke up.
Yes.
No, when I broke up with the guy I was dating in the office, there was a lot of tension, and the entire building knew about it. It was horrible.
Yeah, that's bad.
I mean, I hate to say that, like the idea of being top secret, but again, it's just like if you're nurturing, you want to set some parameters. If you're going out with someone, you don't know what's going to happen.
No.
I mean, you don't know if you're going to actually stay together.
I actually dated a sound guy, so he could, and when we did break up, he could hear everything I said.
About him
Yeah.
when you were
No, I didn't really talk about him when I was mic'd, because that's what you do in the industry. But you meet people at work, and it can be very uncomfortable afterwards.
Well, I was going to say, and the
do you
other
talk
thing
about
is,
it first? Like, do you say, well, if we break up, let's have a parameter?
Everybody's nice in the beginning, but let's be real. When the breakup happens, you don't know how vindictive people can get.
It's not nice.
I say don't do it because I've had 2 co-workers who dated somebody at the office, and it was a nightmare. At the end of it, I knew all about their sexual history, what they liked, what they didn't like, who was good, who was bad, and I thought to myself, this is a note. Keep it, don't do it. Do yourself a favor, get out of the office and go date somebody else, because it's 50 hours of your week if you guys don't get along.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time.
on the other hand, let's be honest, we're all working hard. Where are you going to meet
hours of your
someone?
week
And also, you
can't get
tend to
out.
have similar interests. And there's a real sort of sex appeal of brain work.
Right.
You know, there
That's
can
huge.
be the brain date where you're all like smart and creative, and you're all working together, and it's sort of late nights and all that. You know, that really.
You're remembering that.
I'm all having,
I know.
You said there are
nostalgic.
parameters.
Yeah.
What are the parameters?
Well, I do believe that to go out with a boss is a no-no.
Alrighty. Yes. Okay.
Pot and kettle, calling
I know.
it black is what she did there.
It really is. I don't recommend it, but you know, I worked with my husband. I don't recommend couples work together. So
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but I really think that that is asking for it.
Right.
And if you have a relationship where one is at a higher level than the other, even in a small office, this is not just about. Everyone always thinks this is large offices. In small offices, it's actually even harder.
Oh, yeah.
Because in small offices, you tend to socialize more together.
Everybody knows everybody's business.
Try and at least be in different locations, like we were, where he was
Different
in one
floors.
city or one city or another, or a different department or division.
Or someone has to quit.
Well, actually, that is eventually one person will leave.
Yeah.
probably.
If it's serious, I think somebody should go. I think you should go to another office.
Yeah, and yeah, that is a
But how do you
possibility.
handle jealous coworkers? Because they do get jealous, especially if you're dating the boss.
Yeah.
It's like she's going to
Yeah.
get favoritism.
Yeah.
She's going to get a promotion. That's how they look at it, that all the advantages will come to the person
Right.
who's dating the boss.
Right. Well, one of the things you have to do is you have to actually set your rules of engagement ahead of time. And one of them is there can't be any sort of, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge in any meetings.
Or hidden touching under the table.
Well, that's for sure. You know,
Right.
leave your clothes on, all of that stuff. You know,
How
you have to.
can you avoid that? Like not having eye contact with the guy that you just woke up with 15 minutes
Yeah.
before.
Well, for example, you make sure where you sit. Let's say you have a room of 6 people. You don't sit beside them.
You sit
And
on
you
their
don't
lap? No. But you don't do
You
that.
stand behind them and massage their back.
Honey, that's good for you.
Or
You're
every
the
time
best
they
guy
say
in
something
the
like,
room.
you're so smart.
Oh yeah, exactly. You don't. Yeah, you really have to tone it down. But like that is being smart. Again, I think we talked about this last time. It's like saying, well, I don't play politics in the office. Well, you know what? You should, because otherwise you're going to lose.
Right.
So this is just a sort of modified course in politics, which is. Make sure you don't sit beside them, you don't sit opposite, you don't agree with everything they say.
Right.
And even if it means, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut this morning, because I'm detecting there's some real strangeness going on in the room. You have to be perceptive to that. You have to be intuitive to know today is a day I'm just going to keep it quiet. And that's one of the sacrifices you have to make.
Now, do you know of any horror stories of people dating in the office that it turned out badly?
I do.
Andrea does.
Yeah.
Oh,
By the way, whenever she says she knows a coworker, you know it was her.
It really was, Andrew. What about you, Jonathan? Do you know of any? Did you ever
I'm going to get picked up, I can tell you.
Did I ever sleep with anyone at work?
Yeah. Did you ever have an office romance?
I did. Prior to obviously meeting my wife, I've worked in film and television, and the hours sometimes I'd be working 18 hours a day, and there's an RV, parked right out there.
With the shower.
You're so classy, Jonathan.
I know. I like to bring it up a level.
Yeah.
I really do.
So after the fact, what happens?
Well, you know, the type of, I'm a very honest person, and I always put the cards out right there and say, this is what it is. You know, we're working late, whatever.
Right.
It's not, I wouldn't even call it romance, actually. I would just call it like a part of, you know, a part of work.
A part of work.
My God.
It's like
Not
exercising
now,
in
but
between.
in the industry that I worked in, and
Wow.
you know, long hours, whatever. Everybody was
Yeah, there's a
sleeping
lot of
with
people doing
everybody.
Well, I think some industries,
Some industries
just
sort of
Some are
attract that more
incestuous
than
and
others.
some aren't. Ellie, thank you so much.
That's
I learned
great.
all about it, and I'm going to maybe date my boss. Is what I'm going to do. When we come back, coffee talk, and I mean that literally. Okay.
Jonathan's going like this. No!